Hello, everybody. Good evening. I'm Faye Rosenfeld, and I am the Vice President of Public Programs here at the New York Public Library. And it is my huge pleasure to welcome you to Live from NYPL. Whether you're here with us in the library in person or joining us online, we are just thrilled to have you with us. So for over 125 years, the New York Public Library has maintained a steadfast commitment to our core mission of strengthening the communities that we serve. And so tonight, it is an immense honor to welcome to the live stage an individual who not only shares that unwavering commitment, but who powerfully embodies it in every single thing that he does, Chef José Andrés. Chef Andrés is a world-renowned chef, a best-selling author, an Emmy Award-winning television personality, and one of the most celebrated humanitarians working today. Born in Spain, he arrived in New York City as a young immigrant with boundless energy and a dream, like so many before him. He opened his first restaurant, Jaleo, in Washington, D.C. in 1993, and went on to revolutionize how Americans think about Spanish cuisine, introducing many of us to the joys of tapas. And since then, he's built a culinary empire, more than 40 restaurants, a global food institute, a media company, and of course, World Central Kitchen, the groundbreaking food aid organization he founded in 2010 that has served more than 100 million meals in communities facing disaster, conflict, and crisis around the globe. His many honors include 2 Michelin stars, the National Humanities Medal, the James Beard Foundation's Outstanding Chef Award, and the Presidential Medal of Freedom, awarded by the former president. Just gotta say. Tonight, he joins us to talk about his newest book, Change the Recipe, and the extraordinary work he continues to do at the intersection of food, culture, and social impact. He'll be joined in conversation by another culinary superstar, the award-winning author, television host, longtime Top Chef judge, and humanitarian, who also happens to be an immigrant from my home country of Canada, Gail Simmons. They will speak for about 45 minutes and then take questions from the audience. If you're here with us in person, please write down your questions on the note cards that are on your seats, little pencils you should have received, and some of my colleagues will come around to collect them. If you're joining us online, you can just drop your questions into the chat or send us an email at publicprograms@nypl.org. Signed copies of Change the Recipe are available for purchase this evening, and of course you can also check them out using your library card, which of course you all have, which we know. If you didn't have a chance to see it before the event, I really hope you'll have a moment afterwards to check out our display of rare cookbooks and menus that are curated from the library's manuscripts and archives and rare books divisions. Dating all the way back to the 1600s, these cookbooks come from both Europe and the Americas and represent just a few of the over 16,000 that we hold in our culinary collections from all around the world. And a special thank you to my library colleagues, Leah Johansson and Julie Golia, for putting together this amazing display for tonight. Thanks. Lastly, tonight's event is made possible by the family of Richard B. Salomon, Celeste Bartos, Manazis Bahani Bartos, and Adam Bartos, and of course by all of you, our wonderful friends. Your support helps us keep these programs free and accessible to the public, and for that we are truly, truly grateful. And now, please join me in welcoming chefs José Andrés and Gail Simmons.
All right, we are not cooking.
No. But we have lots to discuss. Thank you so much for being here with us. This is like truly a thrill. It's not my average Monday, just saying.
Today's Monday?
Okay. Good point,
All right.
good point. Thank you, New York Public Library. This is the most special place in New York City, right? It really is.
Did you see the cookbook collection?
The archive, one of the greatest historic cookbook collections in the world.
16,000 cookbooks and manuscripts in this building? It's like Ghostbusters for cookbooks.
It is Ghostbusters for cookbooks.
How many ghosts may be in those books?
A lot. A lot. They're beautiful. They're friendly. They love good food. So usually when I do a book talk, I say, I have so many questions. But today, I have to say this book, which I read over the weekend, answered all my questions about you.
My wife is rolling her eyes.
No, in a good way. In a good way. Because I'm just going to start by saying that Jose obviously is all of our heroes. He's all of our mentors. He has changed the world. He has certainly changed the restaurant industry. And we all know that, right? We all know that about him. You have to be living under a rock to not know that about him. But what I didn't know is how he got there. I knew a little bit because I actually like to take some credit for how he got there, just like a little bit of credit.
A lot.
But this is the story of what gave you the power to take the big steps that you did. So before we start into sort of like the nitty-gritty of this beautiful little book, what made you at this moment want to put it all down on paper?
Well, it's not all down.
It's true. I mean, your life is just beginning. This is just a catalyst.
Well, it's funny because I was talking to my good friend Richard Wolff, who is the guy that actually wrote the book, and he's here with us, and his family. And he was reminding me of why we did the book. And it's like 22,100 reasons. And one of the reasons was, do I put some stories there for one day, my daughters used to read. Just forget anybody else, just my daughters.
I mean, that's a good enough reason.
You remember Bilbo Baggins, when he's trying,
of course,
he writes his kind of memoirs, but the memoirs he writes of his life, and this is just few stories. I think every person in this room, the 7-8 billion people we are on planet Earth, I think everybody should get a book and just write. There's so many stories I have of my father that I have questions I don't know. My mother, questions I have and I don't know. And sometimes you lose the people that even have any knowledge of those stories. So that's very powerful. And sometimes you feel like you don't know who else to go to find those stories. Sometimes powerful stories, sometimes naughty, funny stories. But the stories that somehow shape who you became. And I'm sure all of you connect with what I'm telling you. So this was the moment that, I've been very lucky with my publisher, Echo, and we've been doing cookbooks, and we were kind of behind cookbooks. And Anne McCarthy, who helps me put all these cookbooks together, is here with us. Anne, say hi, I love you, my sister. And we had like a little space there between a book, I cannot announce it yet, right? The next book I'm going to publish next year, and the one I published last year, Zaytinya, the Greek cookbook. And we had this moment, right? And it's like, I wanted to write some of those stories I was waiting for when I retire, and maybe a bigger book. But we had some time, and I'm like, okay, I have this summer, I'm on vacation, I'm cooking, and I have 30 days. So we got together and we began putting all these stories. Many are out. We wanted a small book. I like small books.
I love it.
Because I'm not, like my wife is the one that reads the books, and then she whispers in my ear the book, and then I look like I know about the book, but I didn't read it. And this was a way I used to say, let me put some of those stories that, I may be sharing with my daughters, with friends, with people that are friends in the distance. Even we We never met. It's kind of the world begins connecting you with people in fascinating ways. And that's the reason of the book.
Well, it's digestible, to borrow a pun. Like, it is a book that you can read quickly, and you don't have to pick it up and read it cover to cover. It's not one necessarily consecutive story. But it does read chronologically.
In a way, but this is the way I like to, sometimes, I don't know you, but when I arrived in 1993, Washington, D.C., my restaurant was behind the Shakespeare Theater. And I will go to see the plays as they were rehearsing. And I love theater since I was a little boy. And sometimes they will have 2 or 3 plays rehearsing at the same time. Holy cow. If you see different Shakespeare plays rehearse at the same time, at the end you have such a cocktail in your brain that you don't know what belongs to what play. But it's kind of funny in a good way. But me, sometimes I'm the guy that opens the book and chapter 11. Oh, shit. And that's how I like, my brain works in a strange way this way. And I love that you realize that. Putting aside the chronologically chapter, in a way, yeah, it's a story that you can open the book, just read one, and then say, what the heck did I buy this book? And it's okay.
But you won't, because there's so many beautiful kind of takeaways. Every chapter has a little takeaway, a little lesson that you learned, that you obviously connect to food or connect to your life story and how it got you to where you are. But more importantly, it resonates because the lessons you learn are applicable in the universe, right? And that the stories, you don't have to be a food person or work in restaurants. But the truth is, I think at the end of this book, like so much that you do, it's about our humanity and about the universal messages that kitchens taught you, right? Even the first kitchens. So what I loved the most was learning about your parents. Because I met you when you were already here in the United States.
We were in diaper.
Yeah, basically just out of diapers, but we were both already living in America, both immigrants to America. But I don't know if I'd ever asked you about your parents. So learning about that history and how their influence, obviously, but also their influence in the kitchen.
Yeah, you didn't ask me about my parents because you and I, we were married already, technically. And it would look very odd
at that point. Yeah.
Me and you talking about our parents. It's like, okay, are we going on? What are we doing? Yeah. Yeah, we married well.
Yeah, that's so far so good.
Is amazing.
We're a beautiful throuple, actually.
But
that's weird. But I'm very non-threatening.
Gail and I love Gail.
Long history. But no, so seriously, your parents, the way you describe the food of your parents, the food that your parents cooked for you, is some of the most beautiful in the book, actually.
So, how many of you in this room, your parents cook for you? All right. I only want to say the ones that didn't raise their hands, your parents love you too. And even probably they love you more. Because ordering from a restaurant is smart. In certain situations, believe me. My daughters tell me, Daddy, why cannot we order takeout like normal American families? Which for a chef like me doesn't look too good if it was public domain. But because what happens at the New York Public Library stays at the New York Public Library.
It's a safe space.
My relationship with my mom and my dad was strange in some ways, especially with my mom. My mom was the person that oh my God, worked so hard. She became a nurse, pregnant of my fourth brother because we needed an extra salary. My father and mother, they married very young. They worked together until the last second of their lives.
Both nurses. They were both nurses.
They were nurses. You read the book?
I read the book. I loved it.
Okay, I got 3 people already read the book. And my mom was very, very intense. In a way, I can be intense myself. One of the reasons I left home fairly young is only because I wanted to be creative into how to find ways to be away from home. But what I only remember is how amazing my mom was, how giving, how she'll be the first one waking up in the morning, the last one going to bed. And at the end, those are the stories I want to hold myself on, right? I'm very sure many of you here share the same feeling. Even this is going with my own daughters right now, that sometimes my daughters think like I'm a monster. A good monster, but a monster nonetheless. When I raise my boys, I'm like, well, I'm not raising my boys, I have a big voice. But with my mom, I only remember that whatever she did, between delivering us to the school, picking us from school, my father too, going to the hospital, coming from the hospital, food is something like will be always on top of her mind. And the stories, I don't even know what stories made the final cut in the book. And I read the book, but my brain is confused because it's so many other stories that didn't make it, or stories I thought about telling, but I maybe didn't share them more. But the story is like, you know, the end of the month in Spain, in my household, people will get paycheck at the beginning of the month. So first day, you know, was money in the bank. At the end of the month was no money in the bank. And the fridge looked like a Best Buy. You know when you go Best Buy to buy a fridge? Which I think Best Buy, I mean, quite frankly, if I was selling fridges, I would fill them up with food. $1,000 for the fridge and $500 full fridge.
He's a marketing genius, everyone.
I sold my house for so much money, our first house, because my kitchen was packed. We got 25 offers because the fridge. You go back to my mother, she'll open the fridge, and I think my mother had a relationship with the half leftover egg. Was always a half an egg. You know when you're in a party and always is one piece left on the plate and nobody wants to eat it? Do you know the feeling of that last piece? How lonely and how sad that piece feels? Why they ate my friends and they didn't eat me? So that egg had that feeling, but I think my mom kind of established a relationship. And the little piece of ham that was kind of dry, like
not cured.
Like a credit card dry.
Yes. Crispy.
Yeah, you could open, a lock with the ham. And she'll chop that and she'll get some flour, some oil, some butter, make a roux, as the French call it, R-O-U-X, and I don't use French words in public often, but. And she'll add milk and make a bechamel, very light, and then add whatever left over, the ham, the chicken, the roasted chicken, it'll go there. And then that's it. And at night, my brothers and I, she'll put it on a tray to cool off, and next day she'll roll them in flour, egg wash, eggs, and breadcrumbs. But the night before, almost was like Harry Potter. Like, we will wake up in the middle of the night. I will be the first one. I was the bigger brother. And I'll go. But my father was not very good in putting oil into the, how you call it in English? The hinges? The hinges of the doors? Shit, and this will give away my movements to my brothers. And I'll get to the kitchen, and I'll open the door, and I'll put my fingers, oh my God. The outside was already cold, but the heart of the bechamel was still warm. It was like a hot and cold dish right there as you were still in it. And then I'll push with my fingers the bechamel to make sure I will cover up my still. But my other brothers did the same thing. Next day, the bechamel looked like the surface of the moon with craters. Anyway, those croquetas for my brothers and I was like amazing. The astonishing story is that once I left home and the times I will go back, telling my fathers I'm coming back, my mom will always have those croquetas for me. My wife makes croquetas even better than my mom. Sorry, Mom. But I love that my daughters grow up on croquetas. But I love even more when they keep coming back home now that they're away from home. One of the dishes they always order is, can we eat the croquetas? And even at Jaleo, this is a commercial, my first Spanish restaurant, in 1993 in 7th and E, downtown Washington, D.C. I cannot believe I'm charging for croquetas. But right now I realize that it's at least 3, if not about to become 4 generations of families that came in 1993 with the little children, where they had their first croqueta. Then many years later, they're coming with their children, and very soon they're going to be coming with the children of the children. And then I realized that, yes, every dish has a story. We have books there that tell a story of people who are no longer with us, long forgotten. But every single dish tells a story of who we are in ways that if you really listen to what the dish has to tell you, is very powerful. That's why people, don't hesitate, don't be shy to sharing with people you know, your loved ones, and people you don't know. Those food stories you have, because those food stories is what keeps us grounded in who we are.
So there's bechamel comes back in your book. There's another moment that I think is very telling.
Oh my God.
He has a big life.
Did
so
we
I'm
put that
skipping
on the
some
book?
things. Well, I don't know which he did. There is, and there's a moment at Il Bouilly with bechamel that I think is also very telling of a kind of a pivotal moment that sets you on a path. As a young chef, I mean, there's a lot between his mother's bechamel, croquetas, and then this bechamel, but, you know, he serves in the army, he travels the world, he comes back to Spain, he cooks and cooks and cooks, and ends up in this, you know, town in the middle of nowhere with a young chef, Ferran Adrià, working for Ferran Adrià. Yes, I mean, that guy, he's okay. He's all right. Just joking. And you tell a story about the mise en place that you would make there and what it taught you about innovation. And that also is a bechamel with the oil. Do you know what I'm talking about? So what does that, I mean, it's a very classic ingredient, classic prep, but sort of it flipped everything upside down for you.
Yeah. Did the bechamel on the cannellonis also made it into the book? Oh,
yes.
Shit. So we have 3 bechamel stories.
That's true.
Oh my God. I put 3.
He's nothing but consistent.
Okay, bechamel is not French, it's a Spanish people.
Forget the mother sauces. They're the madre sauces.
So, oh my God. So, this is probably 1987, 88. I was already spending my summers in this little town called Rosas, in the northern part of the Mediterranean, very close from where the painter Dali born. Not too far away from the northern properties of Spain in Europe, France, and other countries. Okay, that was a joke. All right. Yeah, Saturday I'm going to the French ambassadors in DC, so please, don't tweet about it. Oh my God. And Ferran, so anyway, I met Ferran Adrià. He came into this restaurant I was working, where I became the chef, not because I was talented enough to be, but because the chef quit and who was around. And that was amazing, learning by the emergency of the moment. I could quit with the chef, but the chef said, no, you stay. I'm like, thank you. So I met Ferran Adrià, him coming one night after we were closed, and he wanted to eat gambas al ajillo, yeah, garlic shrimp. Who came up with the word shrimp?
It's hard. It's hard for Spaniards.
S-H and R together. I mean, that was Shakespeare. In Spanish is gambas. We make it easy for everybody. So anyway, it's how I met Ferran. I ended in El Bulli. Long story short, I'm there. It's the days that we were very few people working in El Bulli. Ferran already was ahead of his time. I will say even was ahead of himself, which is fascinating when somebody is even ahead of himself. He didn't even realize how ahead he was. And will be the days that nobody will come to the restaurant, because the restaurant was, my town where I was in the middle of North tourist town, but nobody will go in spring or the fall. But where El Bulli was, nobody will go. No, even the birds will go. And I remember we had days, nights that nobody will be coming. Wednesday night.
Could you just imagine that like
El Bulli?
El Bulli was like, no one on the books tonight.
Thousands of people. Okay. So the fascinating thing was that in those moments of nothingness, amazing things were happening. Never waste a dull moment to come up with something unbelievable. So it was a lot of time for trial and error that gave birth to the many creations that Ferran Adrià did in his life. But this day was amazing because it has to do with the bechamel. We had the gelatin of almond. And if anybody complains about gelatin, come on, people, everybody loves yellow. Yellow and gelatin, same shit. And this was a gelatin of almond because it was a traditional recipe going back to the medieval ages, 1200s, 1300s, where almonds were made into kind of a soup and will be cooked with chicken and other things. You will even add sugar to the chicken dishes. That was a very medieval, ancient, 800 years old kind of soup. So this was like the modern version of that almond, and was a gelatin. And the gelatin, we will cut it, was a very light gelatin, almost with a spoon, not even cutting, with the spoon, put it on the plate, and many other things will be going on in that dish. I'm not going to explain it to you right now. But what happens is, in my station, I had a little pot with oil. And part of my mise en place, of my preparation for service, was all those chips of vegetables, artichoke chips, beets chips, chips of different roots, that they were the garnish of a lobster dish. And in the station next to me was the guy with that almond gelatin. And Ferran got the spoon, scooped the gelatin of almond that you could argue looked like my mother's bechamel for croquetas. And Ferran came near the fire where I was with the hot oil. He didn't tell me anything. He only was waiting for me to have a moment between frying different chips. The 4 or 5 other cooks in the kitchen, including the sous chef, who is no longer with us, Xavier, an amazing, talented human being, we began all each other. You know when aliens will come and we'll learn how to express each other only with feelings, through mental connection, that moment has already happened. We were all sending signs to each other. Is he going to do it? No, I don't think he's going to do it. Okay. Do you put money on it? No. Yeah, we were talking. He's crazy. He cannot be putting this gelatin because gelatin melts when something is hot, but when it melts, it becomes water. What happens? Water with hot oil? Boom. There's no way he's going to do this. Yes, he's going to do it. We were all talking between each other mentally. I've been there already. I'm ahead of AI. Years later, Ferran Adrià created a dish called the liquid croqueta that looked like the croqueta of my mother, that you'll put it on the mouth, will be crunchy like the croqueta of my mother and every mother in Spain, will be the flavor of chicken like the best chicken croqueta ever, but the croqueta will explode in your mouth. And that was one of the most iconic dishes Ferran created in the early days of his culinary revolution. That croqueta will never happen without that moment many years before. When he put that hot gelatin into the oil, yeah, if we were in America, we will sue him. Because 3 of us got burned. It was a big explosion. The gelatin melted. That was supposed to happen. Science. I had to change the oil to keep frying. And then in the middle of the service, he bitched at me of, why are you running of fried chips, vegetables? Because he put me behind the schedule of frying. So they claim that was Winston Churchill. You know, every good phrase, they give it to him. And he said, success is going from failure to failure without losing enthusiasm. Ferran never showed a lot of enthusiasm. He was a poker player, poker face. But obviously, he was never afraid of trying things. Even common sense will tell you, don't do this. He is a guy that says, who says common sense makes sense? And that was a very big learning moment. Not for me, but for the culinary world, because he always shared that mentality with everybody else. So people don't be afraid of trying things, because if you don't try them, it's something that you are not learning from. Celebrate failure, because it's just part of the learning curve of growing up. That's it.
And it was partly because of Ferran that you moved to America. In a way, it was connected to him to start your own revolution, Spanish Revolution in America. Why America? Like, what lured you here?
Oh my God.
That's a big question, but I mean...
I don't know. I don't know. It was the John Wayne movies.
I feel like everybody cites...
Which, anyway,
John
they were
Wayne
filming
movies.
in Spain, probably. They were. In Almeria, all the Western movies in Spain. I don't know, is because the NBA. I love NBA. I remember my mother, one time she visited me. I had this one ticket for New York Knicks, Chicago Bulls. I spent all the savings I had for 6 months to buy a ticket fairly close to the court. And my mom was coming and she wanted to see Jordan. Yeah, and I had to sell my ticket to buy 2 tickets up. And the people up, they were rough. I used to be watching New York Knicks, Chicago Bulls with one woman, Jordan, Jordan. It's like, shit, that was a tough moment in my life. I don't know. I thought Disney was in, I love Peter Pan. I thought I thought Iceland, I'm sorry Iceland, but I thought Iceland is where Peter Pan lived, and I thought Disney was there. I was very, 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 very young. Why America? When I came in the military service, when I served 1.5 years in the Spanish Navy, that, by the way, the American Navy team beat us by 120 points in Pensacola. That was a brutal game. I scored 2 points, and I was the best shooter in the team. Yeah, that was brutal. But when I came first time to America, I joined the military service. They put me cooking for the admiral. I told the admiral, really? I'm in the Navy and I have to cook for you with no respect, sir? And I asked him, can I go on a boat? And I was having the best of life. And he granted me my wish.
The coziest job in the Navy.
Oh my God.
But it wasn't just any boat. I mean, it was.
So I asked him to go to the Juan Sebastián del Cano, the training ship of the midshipmen of the Spanish Navy, a sailing ship. The equal in America will be the Eagle on the Coast Guard, Hamilton, U.S. Coast Guard. I mean, hopefully we'll have a U.S. Coast Guard in the years to come if they don't.
It's a whole other story.
Yeah, hopefully we'll have one. If not, don't worry, Spain will come back. Shit, this is gonna get me in trouble. And first town I come in America is Pensacola, the city of the 5 flags, probably the whitest sand in any beach in the history of mankind. You've been to I mean, they don't have any sand left because they sell it. They give it as a gift. Everybody takes sand from the white beaches of Pensacola. That's how beautiful that sand is. And when I arrived there, one of the 5 flags in Pensacola was the Castilian Spanish flag. I'm like, shit, I belong here. Next port, New York. You know what it is as a young boy, 19, 20 years old, coming under the Verrazano Bridge, high up the mast, Ellis Island, Lady Liberty. It's like, you know, John Wayne, but in a boat.
You can like hear the music, you know,
And that night before we went to port, I see the American flag, I see the stars, I see the flag, I see the stars, and I'm like, Americans are brilliant. Look, they put on their flag the beautiful dark blue sky with all the stars, telling you that everything is possible, that everybody is welcome, that everybody belongs, that you can find a place to be part of this dream, the American dream. I looked like a fool when I found out later that the stars were the states. But come on, man, I think my story is so much better, though. Used to end, as some of you know, besides the restaurants, and this is a commercial I have at the Ritz Bazaar and Zaytinya and Nouvelle, the cocktail place, the eclectic place, and the Greek place. I opened in Hudson Yards, Mercado Little Spain. That for me was very important because it was not about a business, it was about to say, here we are. The reason of Mercado is not because I wanted to open Mercado in New York, even I wanted to open Mercado in New York, to have a bigger presence of Spain in New York and joining the many other Spanish restaurants here, but you know, over 30 plus now years ago, where my boat docked? We dock around 30th Street.
It's the Navy
on
Yard,
the west side.
right?
You know where my restaurant, Mercado Little Spain, is? On 30th Street, literally 100 meters away from where I landed first time in New York. So life sometimes is a beautiful story. Sorry for the long answer.
No, this is why we're here. What do you mean? It's riveting.
The lack of my English makes me express myself longer than normal people.
I think we're okay with it. There is a beautiful sort of naval theme to the book, in a way, about the ocean, about your time. And then there is a through line about an anchor, about dropping your anchor. And so, as you can see, this is an international man of mystery. He travels the world, and these days, the front row can tell you, he is almost never home. But you speak very specifically about knowing when to drop your anchor, and you did that in DC. And what made you realize that it was time to do that and there?
Well, one of the reasons, again, you remember Lord of the Rings, that they have the trees and they are moving with their branches?
Yes.
In the second, Yeah. I saw like my tree. A tree is something like, it's like your roots, your anchor, and then I am in this place, which I became like the consultant chef. I opened Jaleo, but then I began helping this Latin American restaurant called Café Atlántico. And the owner was the same guy that owned Jaleo, which is Roberto Alvarez. Roberto Alvarez right now, don't tell me why, he's the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Dominican Republic. Now you understand why I love kind of, I would say, politics or of humanitarian aid. Roberto had a lot to do with that. And I was with him last week, actually, in Dominican Republic. And so in Café Atlántico was a Latin restaurant that had music after 12. They will put an opera, and after that was salsa all night until 3 a.m. in the morning. And there I saw those hands moving in the air, like a cloud meets a tree. And this was that woman, Patricia.
The best of the best.
So you tell me why I
She's my wife too, by the
Washington?
way, so.
Is because my wife was in Washington, D.C. But I don't know. It's something, I was attracted to Washington, maybe because I always saw the White House in the TV. And I'm like, I want to be near that building. I came to Washington and I met, Washington, when I arrived, was not celebrated as a great, and I think I mentioned this in the book, as about a great food town. But Washington had, at the time, chefs as good as any other city, including New York. Washington had a guy called Jean-Louis Paladin, who gave us French chefs of French chefs. Washington had a guy called, Roberto Donna. He was Italian chefs of Italian chefs. Washington had a woman called Nora Puyon. She was, with all my love to Alice Waters and everything she's done, and she's one of my best friends, but Nora Puyon was technically the first certified organic restaurant in America, where everything was local and no further away than 100 miles away. Robert Kincaid, one of the best mid-Atlantic chefs in the history, bringing things from the ocean nobody was bringing. Jeff Boven, oh my God, Washington, D.C. for me was like Jeff Okoki, one of the Kaz Okoki, one of the best Japanese chefs. I mean, I can keep giving you names of chefs. I was like, and all of a sudden, Washington embraced me as a new guy that came out, that nobody could understand my accent, very much like now. I cannot believe I'm about to have a TV show on NBC. That's a commercial, April 28th. April 28th, NBC, After the Boys. Do you want to understand immigrants like me? Watch the show. With Martha Stewart, which is no good, but it's not bad.
No,
Martha.
but I make an appearance. And also Martha is there to help with your grammar.
Hold on, are we able to say that? Is that secret?
Don't know.
Did you sign something?
No, may or may not.
You may be Sue. No. She's there. Okay, so why Washington? Is because it was Richard Melman, one of the most amazing restaurateurs in the history of America, a Chicago-based person. Probably all of you, if you've eaten in a Richard Melman restaurant. And I was invited to Chicago in between jobs, thinking I was going to Japan. Gabino Sotelino, an amazing Spanish chef that had the best French restaurant in Chicago at the time. A guy that has other chains and other things. He's retired now. But Richard Melman, that for me was like a god, even I never met him. I read about him. And I'm down in the basement of this restaurant because I went there to do fundraising, and we were cooking paellas. And I asked this guy, hey, what do you do here? I'm the dishwasher. He was Richard Melman. When we got to know each other 2-3 days later, he told me, listen, you have a home here, and we have plenty of restaurants, but whatever you do next, throw your anchor and stay. Because I see you've been moving. Stay, belong to a place. So between all these stories, that's Washington. It's not like I chose Washington. Washington chose me. And I'm very happy I'm there.
Thank goodness, thank goodness. We need you there more than ever.
And somebody has to look after the White House.
That's true, true enough. Washington also had something else that I think I watched you become such a huge part of, and really, I think, informed the next big chapter of your life, which was DC Central Kitchen. And I remember when I was younger, when I was at Food and Wine, yes, DC Central Kitchen, an incredible nonprofit organization that fed Washington.
Don't be shy on clapping, okay?
Yeah, clapping's a good thing. Yes, DC Central Kitchen.
I will make sure they don't charge you more.
Yeah.
This is not a French restaurant that they charge you for saying bienvenue. No, we are much more.
Touche. How do you say touche in Spanish?
Touche.
Okay, so DC Central Kitchen became a very central part of your life. I remember in the early years, like long before World Central Kitchen, that every year in DC, all our chef friends would come down and do basically like a cooking challenge with you, a huge fundraiser every year, and that's how I first heard about DC Central Kitchen.
That was huge, and I'm so happy you came.
And how did it evolve?
Yeah.
I mean, it evolved.
So, I remember when my mother was taking me to the Red Cross to learn the Heimlich maneuver. I was a young boy, and I thought it was funny. I mean, I will be laughing, right? Like, many years later, it was very funny to me because I think, you remember when Inés or Carlota or Lucia, they put me on the floor and they were doing Inés, the heart attack, the thing.
Trying to revive someone.
And I was laughing very hard. And I don't think I ever told them that that's almost the same thing my mom did to me many, many years before. And this is like the gift that keeps on giving, right? So watching my daughter doing this on me brought memories of my mom taking me as a nurse, taking me to... And actually, I used one time in an NBA play of game, the Heimlich maneuver, to a guy that put the entire hot dog into his throat.
Wow.
Which you never wonder why I'm learning this stupid thing until the day that you, oh, wow, that's good that we learn it.
He saved his life. So DC Central Kitchen.
DC Central Kitchen was... I know
it's all connected. It's all very connected. The Red
This
Cross
is in the kitchen was this kind of same
back.
idea of how can you serve, right? Obviously, I was not going into the medicine of my mom and my dad and my uncle and my aunt. I was going in the culinary. And how do you put your talents at the service of the few is, in my case, cooking in a restaurant. How do you put your talents at the service of the many? All of you have talents that probably you are only using for the few. Putting aside that all of you probably are doing amazing work. Even writing a check is doing amazing work. Donating time in your church or mosque or synagogue is amazing work. Helping somebody that you don't even think that's helping, but you are helping them because you're listening to them. There's many amazing ways you can be giving back. Small or big, they are all equal to the same. I needed to belong beyond my own universe of the restaurant. And I joined an organization founded by Bill Shore and his daughter and his sister, Debbie, called Share Our Strength. And I joined that in 1993. And that was great because the same story of my mom doing amazing things with nothing croquetas out of nothing, almost like a miracle. In not a very small way, with shared strength, I saw that I was sharing with Latino, Afro-American, white, poor families in DC, Virginia, Maryland, sharing with them recipes that they could maximize the few dollars they had to feed their families. And I spent 1 year doing that with shared strength. And to me, that was life-changing. But in a way, shared strength was very big. And I was looking for something even deeper down. And it's when my other friend and partner who hired me, Rob Wilder, he was the chairman of an organization called This is Central Kitchen, founded by a bartender called Robert Egger. A bartender that during President Bush inauguration day over 35, 36 years ago now, he got the track. He quit his job, he got a track. He went from inauguration party to inauguration party, brought all the leftover untouched food to a kitchen, repackaged, and sent the food to the different shelters and homeless in the streets of DC, Virginia, Maryland. The founding of This is Central Kitchen happened there. I joined them 5, 6 years later as a cook, sharing the same thing my mom told me. And I never stopped going because I saw a place that I didn't only share what I knew, but in the process I was learning so much from people. People probably I will never meet because we were living in different parts of the city. Sometimes cities, you don't need borders and walls. Sometimes our own cities have borders and walls that don't exist, but we know they're there. And you can only break those walls if you take the decision to step beyond the wall, to see that the people you fear are not your enemies, but actually the people you can learn from. You can share what you know, but they are going to be sharing with you so much more sometimes. Me going to that kitchen was that place. Meeting people probably will never meet. And the founder, Robert Egger, I joined in 1994. I was 24 at the time. I was technically still 23. Well, I forgot my age. And he told me, charity and philanthropy seems is always about the redemption of the giver, when charity and philanthropy must become about the liberation of the receiver. It's never anymore about doing good. If you do good and you feel good, it's okay. But if you do good and you want to really believe you are moving the needle, you're moving an issue forward, improving the lives of others, we must stop doing good and we must do a smart good. Liberating the receiver is the way forward. And that's why I became, I became board member, and then I became the chairman. Then they gave me chairman emeritus, that is when they want you out of the organization. And that organization really was the basis of anything else I did in life.
There is so much more. We're going to tell one more story.
I'll be shorter.
No, don't, it's okay. And then we're going to take some questions. Because we're only starting to get to all the crazy, amazing, good stuff.
Can we get 1 more hour?
So much. I brought a sleeping bag, so I'm fine. That led to, obviously your work there started this spark. And the Red Cross and your relationship to the Red Cross, obviously, and the founder of the Red Cross, Clara Barton, set you on a different path. A path maybe wasn't intended. I'd actually love to hear from the women in your life if it was intended. To really take these lessons to heart and bring them up to another level, to feed people in what are arguably have been the most catastrophic disasters and war zones of our time, and they are not ending anytime soon.
Yeah.
So how do you, what is your approach? How do you get up and in so quickly, so efficiently?
Yeah. So obviously, Gail, you're asking me about World Central Kitchen, and you mentioned the founder of Red Cross.
Yes.
Which is something like I feel Red Cross is a story they should be telling more.
Yes.
But
yes,
I don't know you, but I read signs. And across from my restaurant, and when I mean across from my restaurant, they discover a little house, 2 floors, 1-bedroom apartment, with the belongings of a person. A person that was part of the missing soldiers office, a person that was part of the flying hospitals, the hospitals that during the Civil War were moving behind the lines, taking care of the wounded soldiers putting aside on what side they were fighting for. And this is the person that created the Red Cross. And this is Clara Barton herself. And Clara Barton, a nurse like my mom, a woman with not a lot of means, even she was very connected, and she used those connections, not for herself, but for the betterment and improving the lives of others. Used in front of my restaurant. That was huge for me. That was like, oh my God, look at this person. Look at this woman. Look at what she did. World Central Kitchen was founded on those lessons and many others. The lessons of This is Central Kitchen, Robert Egger, the lessons of Clara Barton, many others. The lessons of my mom, just taking care of anybody she could be helping. And World Central Kitchen happened on the aftermath of Katrina. In Katrina, we saw a disaster like we've never seen, even it's been many more. Low 9, forgotten. I'm not going to talk about Louisiana and all New Orleans. I'm only talking about the Superdome. That the Superdome, we left 20,000 Americans forgotten for days without food, water, or anything else, where things were happening to women and without security. It was amazing. I didn't move a finger. Even we had great people just trying to do the best they could, including amazing chefs, like we saw in New York in September 11, just putting grills out and trying to feed people. So there you see that the empathy happens everywhere, that people willing to make things happen is already there. The seed is planted. It's not something we need to create. What we only needed to do was organize it better. When Haiti happened, I was with my friend Eric Rippert and Anthony Bourdain.
Oh, I was there too, in the Cayman Islands.
And you were there. And I remember that moment I told them, I'm not leaving right now, but I'm going to Haiti. And I went to Haiti, I didn't go to help. I went to learn. I landed a few weeks later, and I began cooking in some camps and making a few thousand meals here and there. There I saw the power of food used to take care of the problem. Right there, right then. It's always people want to help. It's always a kitchen. It's always volunteers. It's always food somewhere. And that's the moment that World Central Kitchen was created, in the 2010 aftermath of the terrible, tragic earthquake that killed thousands of Haitians. And to this day, you know, World Central Kitchen, men and women, we are right now in few states here in the United States, helping after floods and tornadoes. We are in Ukraine. We are in Gaza. In and out, we are in Israel when we need to activate in the north or south kibbutz. We are in Myanmar, where they had this huge earthquake. We are in anywhere there is an emergency. The men and women of World Central Kitchen show up and make sure that at the very least, food and water is not one of their problems. And that's what we do.
Well, yes. I mean, you've galvanized an army of cooks around the world, of people who want to help too. And I'm gonna, before we take questions, I'm gonna just read what I found towards the end of the book, one of the most powerful ends to one of the chapters that I think really encapsulates that ethos. I've landed in a war zone or a disaster zone. I've seen families with nothing. On my third day in Ukraine, I saw a mother with 3 children who were barely old enough to walk on their own, carrying whatever was left of their life in one little suitcase. Their dreams, everything they worked for, their lifetime, packed into one little suitcase. She told me she was worried about her husband because he joined the militia, and she was worried about her house because she didn't think it existed anymore. This wasn't a movie, it was real life. To help people like this, to make our world better and safer, we need the kind of empathy and understanding that comes from meeting and talking face to face. That's what I mean by longer tables. When you share a meal with someone or lots of people, you learn more and can help more. And helping people rebuild their lives where they are is far more successful than building walls to keep us apart. Thank you, Jose, so much. This is a beautiful book, and you've captured his voice so extraordinary. I mean, it's like I hear him reading it to me, which I think is really part of what makes it very special, and I'm honored that I could spend this time learning more about you tonight with all of you. Okay, some questions. Have the cuisines from your food relief work inspired you to cook for yourself at home?
Oh, yeah. Well, for the record, I have a book, which is not my book, it's Walls and Drag Kitchen book, but nonetheless, which is Walls and Drag Kitchen cookbook.
Yes. I've cooked several recipes from that cookbook.
And there are recipes from many of the countries we've been part of. And obviously, when I go, I do learn, sometimes in necessity. I mean, but you know.
You work with local chefs there, too.
We always
everywhere you go.
work with local, but it's kind of people praises for working with locals. But it's like, who do you want me to cook with? With chefs from Mars? So when they praise us, and you use local cooks, I'm like, yeah, it's the only people around. Oh, you're serving jambalaya in New Orleans. What do you want me to cook? Butter chicken? It's Indian chefs. They will make butter chicken, no problem. But yeah, we do cook local only because local is what is available. And it's how we can be quickest. And it's where...
I mean, that's the...
In Puerto Rico, we will do tamales.
Thing about World Central Kitchen.
In the first day, why we do tamales? Because everybody knows how to do tamales. And when you have no plates, no forks, no knives, no nothing, a tamal is great. The same banana leaf that you use to make the tamal is the same banana leaf. You can deliver the food. It's the same banana leaf people can hold and eat it. So it's used brilliant in so many ways. Mm-hmm. So offshore I learned, and offshore I am a better cook because many of the lessons I learned going to the many emergencies, and I'm sure every other chef, cook, even World Central Kitchen is bigger than just chefs and cooks, is things that they become part, you know, it's like the fire engine. People should travel to Bahamas only to eat the fire engine. I'm not going to tell you what it is. You're going to go to Bahamas and eat the fire engine. And probably you're not going to find it in a restaurant. You're going to have to meet a local that takes you to where locals eat to eat fire engine. And once you eat fire engine, you are like, what the heck? And it's so many dishes like this.
Hey, I'm going to read the question, but I also might want to put you guys on the spot to answer the part 2 of the question. Is that okay? I mean, I can't even see you because it's so bright up here to know if you're saying yes or no. So, okay, you've dedicated this book to your daughters, 3 extraordinary young women. What stories or lessons do you think they'll share about you?
Oh, my God.
It's like the Newlywed Game. Then we're going to hear them, actually.
You scream too much. You are always the one ordering out of every restaurant we go. Talk about freedom. What else? Oh my God. Well, I mean, I can share all. I mean,
That's a lot.
Daddy, you may think you're right, but Mommy is the one that has the truth.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Would you answer? Do you have an answer?
Keep it there.
A story, a quick one?
I didn't write my will yet. Even I don't control even my checkbook. My wife controls my checkbook. They don't recognize my signature in the bank.
This is Inez. Hi, everyone. I'm Inez, the middle child, but I'm not a storyteller like my dad. But I think one lesson we've all learned, you know my dad is very passionate. Sometimes
be you like always are.
For good and bad, I would say. But one thing I've learned is it's important to really funnel that passion for good. So if I don't cook an egg the way that he's taught me, to not get mad about that, but use his passion for cooking to then maybe teach me again. And then I'll get it right, hopefully the third time. But
Passion is the thing.
yes, it's passion, and I have so many stories on that note, but I won't share them today. It's not mine.
You know, I love you. I think this should be group therapy, psychology.
I think it is.
Yeah, I get upset when you don't do the things I teach you right the second time. You are right on that one. Don't worry, my will, your mom is going to write it, so don't worry.
I mean, she knows the truth, so.
And I want to say, Carlota, Lucia, who is not here, and Inez, I love you. And this book is more for you than anybody. And I'm going to say, I have to say, probably, but Inez, who you spoke, you know, when she was 15, 16, she was in an orphanage in Haiti, in her summers. She came with me for second time I went inside Ukraine, and we lied to the mom. We forgot to take away the location on the iPhone, but yeah. And the last 2 years, she's spent time in Chad, in the border of the Sudan refugee crisis. And over the last few months, even she cannot go back, and I'm actually very relieved. She spent time in Sana'a, in the capital, in Yemen, helping with feeding people there. So it's people like her, people like I'm sure you, people you know, that she can be taking another job, but she took that job. And I'm very proud of her for doing that. Love you. Wrap up, please.
Okay,
one more question, wrap up. When the lights turn on. I mean, listen, what happened if the Ghostbusters,
I know.
some ghost from the books wraps this room and we cannot escape? Can we stay half more hour?
Okay, wait. Okay, I might have to ask 2 quick questions. Is that
Yeah,
okay?
the wrap up left the
it's
screen.
gone now. We can do whatever we want.
We're never being invited
changing
again.
Topics, but I think it's an important one. Do you have any advice for immigrant professionals facing obstacles right now in the U.S.? Can I ask that question?
Oh my God. Okay. How many people from ICE here? By the way,
I didn't write the question, but I'm very interested in hearing what you have to say about the question.
I mean, right now we're facing a conundrum. Listen, I'm an immigrant. You know, I stopped a restaurant with the President of the United States now Trump on something as simple as, I may not agree with your immigration approach, but I will respect you. But what I cannot agree is you disrespecting everybody. Because at the end, without empathy, without respect to each other, is what do we have? I mean, if you're a Christian, Catholic, and we celebrate Easter. I mean, today, a holy man left. And probably he's guiding everybody from above and wishing all of us better. But obviously, doesn't matter what religion you are from. I think we are all religious in a way. Because when we don't have answers, we all look to the sky. Even people that say, I'm an atheist. I have friends that they say, I'm an atheist and I do this. Or I'm an atheist and I look to the stars for what the heck. So religion is something like everybody can live in their own personal way. But obviously, if you claim you're religious and you're Christian and you read the gospel and you read the words of Jesus, and life is complicated. Life is not black and white. But then at the same time, I came as an immigrant and I saw Ellis Island and New York and Lady Liberty. For me, it was very clear that this country was founded in this very simple rule that we are the sum of people, with permission of the Native Americans, of people of the world, that we became one here. And I think this is what has made us stronger. I recommend everybody used to Google and YouTube the words, almost final words on President Ronald Reagan presidency. And he talked especially about the meaning of American and immigrants. And you want to cry. Because he sent the message that being American meaning that the day that America stops being the place where every person around the world belongs and can call America home, that day America will not be the America we all dream. So, what I'm going to say is this. You cannot, in one side, to be claiming that some presidents that happens they are Democrats are the ones letting all the undocumented in. But then when you're talking to Latinos on election day, you claim that those same two presidents are the ones that sent out the most quantity of immigrants. Those stories don't match each other. What America needs right now is immigration reform, supported by Republicans and Democrats equally. Where offshore we have strong borders, where offshore we make sure that who comes here, we know who comes and why they come, but to make sure that America will always live to the meaning of this amazing Lady Liberty that we have not too far away, that has not only become an icon of hope for people willing to become Americans, but I do believe an icon of hope for people around the world. America cannot forget why we came, the America we all love.
Amen.
Immigration reform is not a problem for us to solve. Immigration reform is an opportunity for America to seize. I am José Andrés, and I endorse this message.
That was a pretty high note, actually, to end on, but I'm going to ask one more quick question.
We're going to be
very
kicked
quick.
out. They asked me for my credit card, you know.
Right. Yeah.
No, okay.
Because I think this book speaks to, hope and to lessons in a lot of ways to your younger self that you could only learn through the experiences you had. So my last question is from someone in the audience: what uno piece of advice would you give to your younger self?
Oh my God, I was supposed to be prepared for that one.
It's kind of a hard one. It's big. It's vast.
You know, I think it's the moment. Last year, my wife and I, we were invited to go to the Vatican to have one-on-one with Pope Francis. And we didn't. I didn't. I can give you 100 reasons why we didn't. I was in an emergency, actually. And that was a good reason enough. But we got that opportunity. And my wife and I, we are Catholic boys and girls. We have friends from all religions. But I didn't take that opportunity. And I wanted to go. Because I felt I had to be there. And listen to him and sharing with him the lessons I learned from being in Israel and being in Gaza and being in Ukraine. And the only thing gives me hope is that I knew he knew a little bit of what World Central Kitchen was doing, and that he was very proud of that. So the lesson, the word of wisdom I will give to my younger self is never miss an opportunity, not for the big things, whatever they are, for the little things. I had friends I lost that I was supposed to have one more dinner or one more lunch or one more drink or one more coffee, and I didn't. I had those moments that you regret you didn't do the extra trip, the extra half an hour in your calendar, maybe the extra plane or the extra 1 hour drive. And what I regret is those little moments you will never know anymore what will happen if you took that step. I did as much as I could, always. But my share with all of you is never miss the opportunity to tell people are important to you. Even sometimes we are too egocentric or sometimes shy to tell somebody how much you love them, how much they mean to you, how important they were in the person you became. Never hesitate to share that, even if at times you feel like, oh, I'm upset with this person right now, like I was with my mom. Never hesitate just to share the good that you feel about others, even if sometimes you have second thoughts. Just give yourself away. Give all the goodness you have inside today, because maybe tomorrow is a little bit too late.
Thank you.
All right. And just to finish, the only thing I wanted to mention is that the only change in the entire book was this was supposed to be change the recipe because you cannot build a better world without breaking some eggs. We added the word some. Was supposed to be without breaking eggs. When eggs became so expensive, we added the word some.